Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the last lesson in the Kufi Kairouani script. In today's lesson we are going to do some practice and see how we could write the Kufi Kairouani in full sentences, let's say. So we've got two things to practice now, or some blue ink on here. We've got the first one, which would be like a 2-word sentence. I'm keeping them short for the video's length. The second one would be if we want to make an artwork with this script, how it could look like and what things to watch out for. I'm using a bamboo pen here, so I thought it would be beneficial for us to see some things that we couldn't see when I used dark ink using a normal pen. So the first thing you will notice that you need to dip it quite a lot. The second thing you will notice is that for today's in modern, what do you call it? Modern inks, or the inks that we could actually most of the time find in shops, they give us this thin, like bright color to them. So the strokes, the lines would be visible, and that is something was considered as a fault back in the day. So when we write, we might face some challenges. So we're going to write الصدق منجا, honesty saves you. We're going to start with the alif, 45 degrees, going down with a straight line. And you could use your arm to move it downward. Then we start going to the right, lift the pen slightly, stop here and come back. As you can see with the black ink, this end might not appear, but for the bamboo and normal inks, this would be quite visible. So you can see the strokes. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but the original way, or the original masters, they considered strokes to be a fault. So الصدق, here we have a lam and a sad. So we're going to start with the lam, going downward. You rotate the pen right here to have this edge, and you would fill this gap just like this. Now again, when this ink dries, these will be visible, so that is something that you need to care for. Letter side is very long and horizontal, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this until the ink sort of ends, just like this. I could use this part to perfect the lower edge of this letter. Next I'm gonna write the letter sad, which is 4 points. You should scale your letters always, but for this video I am not going to. So this is the sad, stop, go to the right, stop here. Has to be longer, so I'm going to drag it from here. Again, take this ink and do the edges up here and down here. And you could drag this part to the left. This is why you scale your letters, because you don't want to end up with excessive amounts of ink. I'm dropping below the line sort of here, but no worries about that. You could fix this part too. You have the tooth for the sad coming over here. And now you have a dal, which will be higher than the sad. And I'm going to drop it like this. The second line of the dal, stopping here, because you've got the thickness of the word coming from the right. Then you would drag this back to here. So this is as-sad. Oh, we have a qaf. The qaf is a big letter, and it has to come all the way down to here to rotate. So we're going to start from here, rotate it back a bit, start rotating back down, do our cup here. Then we've got this line that comes down to the left, and this joins the one on the right here. And that's where things start to get tricky. So you've got these two lines that you've made, and now you need to color the letter. So it will end up looking really ugly if you kept doing this right here. So what you're going to do is to take some ink, do a first stroke, stop where it needs to stop, do the second stroke, stop, and take this excessive amount of ink before it dries and drag it here. Take the other excessive amount of ink and just do this. So it's about being quick so that the ink doesn't dry, and try and limit your amount of strokes or corrections. Because if you kept doing the stroke line, it would appear in the art piece. Finally, you would go back here and do your end, which is this one. The same thing for this. Take some ink and try and limit your strokes so that they don't appear in the art piece as a faulty thing. Or you could simply change into a dark ink like the black or the dark blue one that doesn't show the strokes. الصدق من جاء ميم نون جيم ألف تاء مربوطة. We're going to do our meme here. Another thing with regards to the pen, you need to choose a pen that you feel comfortable to work with. Choose a pen that is good for Kufi. Keep it for Kufi, don't use another pen. So for example, the pen I'm using here is actually a one that I use for Thuluth, but I thought, well, I might as well just do it with this pen. So here we've got the meme, then we have a noon, which I'm going to use the slanted one because I've got a jim after it and I want both of them to sort of give this look that you're going to see now. This will stop here. And for the jim, I'm going to use the one that drops below like this. Yep. And comes back. Then it connects to an alif, and I'm going to keep my alif really close to the jim. Again, you're going to drag your 5 points all the way back to here. And you would go straight downward till this line, and you would do your 2 points of connection here. You could drag the ink that is excessive to a corner that it won't show. Manja تاء مربوطة, and for the تاء مربوطة, I love it, so going to use this, rotate, go down, go back, and stop here. Take it the other way around, make this edge lower, add your circle inside, and try, as we said, limit your amount of strokes that you're going to color your letter with, just like this. Try and use full strokes, keep the ink flowing. This way you will have less changes in the letters. This needs to be fixed, this needs to be up here, but because the camera is on top of the paper, I can't really see it in the right angle. So here we have a صدق manja. You could leave it like this. You could add the dots, for example, either dots like this, or you could use the circles that are colored, as we said. You could also get an eraser, make the eraser like, you could just cut a circle, like a circular shape of that eraser, and start stamping these dots if you want. I use that actually when I want to make a piece. Yeah, you could, again, but you have to use one kind of dot. So if you use the circle one, you will use the circle for all letters. But here I just wanted to show you how it would look like with both shapes. But yeah, feel free to do whatever you want to do. If you want to add harakat, you would go back and use a different color. So for example, if you had red, you would الصدق, you would add a circle here, you would add a circle here, الصدق, this is a lam. منجات, you could add 2 dots on the left, two circles on the left of the ta marbuta. So this is one way of writing Kufi Kairouani, just simple, basic, add your skill. And with regards to the strokes here, the ones that shows, that is something with regards to the ink. You can't really erase that unless you kind of really stopped and avoided any intersection between the strokes. So for example, if you made this stroke right here and you wanted to make another one next to it, it would be like really close, but they will not intersect, just like this. This way you could get really nice lines next to each other, and I think it's pretty hard if you want to make it with a small art piece. With regards to the excessive amount of ink here, you could get a piece of with the tissue and just let it soak on it for a bit. It will leave some track behind, but there's no way around this thing. The other option is for you to draw them and just paint them with a brush to mix these colors. For me, I simply use black, that's it. Because with black ink, it doesn't show, it never shows, and that's what they used back in the day. But yeah, feel free to choose whatever ink you want to choose. The second option, or the second, let's say, thing that you could write this script with is that you would make it kind of artistic in a way or another. And for that one, we're going to write the sentence الحب من شيم الكرم. I'm going to just flip this around, and actually I'm going to flip it the other way because I don't want to make a mess. So here I was thinking I could use a sort of a square shape to write the sentence in. The sentence is الحب من شيم الكرم. So what I had in mind is that I could use the angles and the thick parts of the script itself to use those to make the art piece. So I could start with the alif itself. It's a draft right now. So I would go to the right. I wouldn't care about the edges, to be honest with you, for the time being. I'm gonna have the lam down here. The hat would come back here. It will join with these two. The ba would be short and it will connect to the hat here, and I'm going to drag my ba to the left just like this. And I'm just going to stop here for the time being. Al-hubbu. Then I've got a meme noon. I was thinking to start the meme from here because I want it to have this shape with the hat. So I want them to join or like be close to each other in a way or another. So I'm going to add the meme, I'm going to make it slightly vertical than usual. I'm going to close this part. Now the noon, I won't make it really far, just make it, I would delete this part, but I want it to be in this area, like really close to the meme, might actually go inside it. I will delete this part and just stop here. Because I've got in my mind that I've got a calf, so I'm going to use that calf to join with this noon. Min shiyam, I've got a sheen, so I'm going to use that to come over here and be close to the noon. Again, you would redo this, it's just a draft. Just like all other scripts, you would do a draft, you will see if you are satisfied with it, and you would repeat if you want. Sheen, ya, meme. So the ya here I'm going to drag up and I'm going to make it inclined because I've got a meme after it, and the meme would hide behind it kind of. And this would drop down here and it will stop here. Just like this. This will come back and this will close on it. الحب من شيم الكرم. I've got a calf, and that's why I left the noon, because the calf, for example, I want it to, if this was erased, and actually you could erase it with a, what do you call it? with a metal pen or a cutter. That's something we're going to look into in the future, but not the near one. So once this dries, you could actually erase it with a sharp object. So here I'm using a normal metal pen that is sharp to erase this part. Now I could simply use this edge for the calf, and I'm going to start with the calf just to get an idea about whereabouts it will end. So it will end down here. I'm just going to continue with the calf. It's a design phase, and for the calf I'm going to use one of the connections that we talked about when it comes with the lamb. So this will come back here. It will have to drop below the line because I want it to look special, just like this, like the one we saw. Or this could go to the right, then they will connect. Yeah, that would look prettier. So now I'm still in the design phase. I could put the alif inside because I've got the lamb on this edge. I want to keep them in the same edge. I could drag this to the left a bit for the calf to come here because I still have the noon's cup to finish here. So I'm going to drag the alif here. I'm going to leave it as the same height. I'm going to drag this back here, and what I could do is that whenever anything intersects with anything, I could erase it. We're going to see this in a minute. So I'm just going to leave this like this. Al-Karam, I'm going to do the ra. Remember, I still have the noon to finish. I'm going to do the meme, which I want to end with this meme. So I'm going to try to make it as close as possible to that letter. Come back here with this shape and stop here. Going to drag this amount of ink, fill it in. Not too fussed about the shapes that I've got here. I just want to show you how to make one. And now I could get back to my noon, finish it. Stop down here, and I could use the long end for the noon. And for it to be cheesy, I was thinking to add a small rectangular heart here, just like this. Ta-da! That would finish this. You go. There are some changes that you could do. So for example, now that you've seen the general idea about it, I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. So what you could do is that you would go back to the art piece and look at certain aspects that you might want to change. So for example, the general shape that we've got here is that this would have an edge here, and this would be my edge. So this part must go to the left a bit. I've got a gap here that I need to fill it with something, so I might, for example, change the meme and drag it up a bit for it to be here. And it will end down here like this with this ra, for example. I could also, let me just change into a pen that actually is visible. So the meme, I would drag this and scale these things for the meme to be right with it, and it both will end down here. And for this meme to fill this gap that I've got here, but at the same time I want it to not leave a gap down here. So I'm going to make sure that this ra ends with this meme. So I've got this shape. I could put my signature here to fill this gap, or just make this shorter. Again, with regards to the shapes here, whenever we have intersection just before that, you could also have this a bit longer. That's why I haven't finished it, because you want the shape to look solid in a way or another. That's one way of doing this form of art. Then what you could do is that when you do your art piece and you've got some areas that you want to make clear, you could simply just come back and erase the intersections from one letter. So for example, here I'm going to erase the lam. I want to leave the alif, and I want to erase the lam a bit. So this is one way of doing it, But with regards to the intersections, so for example, this is, I guess, the last knot that I'm going to talk about. When you have an intersection between two, or we have 3 or 4 intersections, for example. So I'm just going to put this 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to do the other way around. So let's say that you've got these intersections. You won't have that many of them, but you could have up to 3 intersections or 4 intersections. What you're going to do is you're going to make a proper study of the situation. So what you're going to look at is you would take one line and you would study it. So if this line, I'm talking about this one that is coming from this side, going down, the first intersection with the first line, I want this line to be coming on top. So I'm going to erase this line. The second line, this has to come below it. So I'm going to erase it. The next one is going to be the opposite. Up. And the next one will be below. The same thing goes for the other way around. This went down, here will go up. Next it will go down. Then it will go up. This way you get this nice sort of knot shape, knot effect, like it is all knotted and it's just intersecting with each other. With calligraphy you will have to be careful, because sometimes when you have 3 intersections with a word, so for example this alif came down here, then it came up here, then you had it intersecting with the third shape, but that third shape intersected with another word that it came down. That's when things get a bit tricky. So you need to focus, you need to see the bigger picture of the art piece. But here we don't have that many of intersections. For the beginning, don't do those intersections. So today you had 2 options to write with. You could write it simple and easy like we did here. الصدق منجاة. Very basic, very simple. You're free to choose whatever ink you want to choose, but as you can see here, for me, I just do this script with black, or as you've seen on one of the videos, I do it with gold, because I hate to see these fellas here and here, because we don't have these in other scripts. It's similar to the Kufi Fatimi. And here we've got, let's say, a more artistic shape. You could write it in an artistic way. You could have longer alifs if you want to, you could have longer bats, you could have longer calves, you could be more creative about it. But again, it's not as fluid or flexible as other scripts. Be careful when you work with this script. You want it to look authentic. It might not always work, so don't be frustrated. What you have to do is to start with a design, see how it looks like, put it aside, come back the next day. You don't do something and just expect it to work out from this first trial. Go back, design things, leave it for a night, come back again, and you will see it. With regards to the coloring here again, we've got the type of the ink that affects it and the type of the paper also. So here I've got a glossy paper, but when you use like normal paper, the change will be like the effect will be different. So it's up to you. If like you need to check these things before you do it on the final piece. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope you enjoyed this video. This would be basically the last one in this series with regards to teaching. Might add more in the future with regards to examples, but that would be after I finish all the scripts out there. I hope this was beneficial, guys, and like, share and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about Arabic calligraphy. This has been Ammar Awadi. I think in the next course we might actually start with the Maghribi. I'm not sure about that, but I need to go back and look into it. Again, this is Ammar Awadi. Have a lovely day, evening or night, and goodbye.